Imagine a man in the shadows, thousands of years ago, crossing a desert under the orders of a king, not to fight, but to listen. That man might not have known it, but he was the prototype of something that would shape empires: the spy. From ancient Persia to the war rooms of modern Ukraine, intelligence services have always been the invisible engines of history. Unseen and often uncredited, they have determined battles, prevented revolutions, and instigated chaos. They operate in silence, but leave echoes that shape the course of civilization. This is the story of how they evolved, covertly, relentlessly, and globally. One of the earliest centralized intelligence networks emerged under Darius I in the Achaemenid Empire during the 5th century BCE. Known as the King's Eyes and Ears, this corps of state informants reported directly to the Persian king. These agents crisscrossed the vast empire, monitoring governors, satraps, auditing infrastructure, inspecting military garrisons, and observing public sentiment. Their presence enabled Darius to exercise control over a realm that stretched from the Indus River to the Mediterranean Sea. It was not just a tool for gathering information. It was a mechanism for sustaining power. The sophistication of this network was extraordinary. Couriers used the Royal Road, a 2,700-kilometer highway, to rapidly deliver reports written on papyrus or clay. The intelligence apparatus ensured that Darius was always informed of discontent, corruption, or potential rebellion. The mere knowledge that the king's eyes were everywhere maintained discipline across distant provinces. In many ways, this system was a forerunner to modern surveillance states. It relied on loyalty, bureaucratic efficiency, and psychological pressure. The concept that governance required knowledge of the governed took deep root in the Persian legacy. Centuries later, during the 11th century, a new form of covert power emerged, with the Nizari Ismaili sect, known as the Hashashin, or Assassins. Operating from mountain fortresses like Alamut, they pioneered targeted killings as a method of political influence. Assassin operatives underwent rigorous indoctrination and training. Disguised as tradesmen or clerics, they would infiltrate enemy cities and await the perfect moment to strike. Their targets were high-ranking officials, generals, and religious leaders. Each kill was calculated to send a message: nowhere was safe, and no one untouchable. Contrary to myth, their tactics were not random acts of terror. These assassinations were psychological operations. Enemies would modify their behavior out of fear, altering alliances and policies to avoid becoming the next victim. Their use of informant networks was equally impressive. Spies gathered intelligence from bazaars, caravan routes, and enemy courts. The assassins did not merely react, they anticipated and influenced. The Hashashin legacy has endured in modern counterinsurgency strategies. The principle that small, mobile, and ideologically driven cells could change empires prefigured both guerrilla warfare and modern intelligence tactics. In the 14th century, the Ottoman Empire established one of the most disciplined standing armies in history, the Janissaries. These elite troops were originally recruited through the Devshirme system, in which Christian boys were taken, converted to Islam, and trained from youth. The Janissaries were not just warriors, they were enforcers of the Sultan's will, often stationed near the heart of power. Over time, they became involved in internal politics, supporting or opposing sultans and manipulating succession. Alongside them grew a parallel structure of intelligence. Palace eunuchs, scribes, and informers played critical roles in ensuring loyalty. By the 19th century, during the reign of Abdul Hamid II, this evolved into a formalized domestic spy network. Suspected dissenters were monitored, newspapers censored, and whispers of revolution reported directly to the palace. Although the Ottomans never developed a dedicated foreign espionage unit, their internal intelligence was sufficient to preserve unity in a fracturing empire. The system mirrored the complexities of ruling over diverse ethnic and religious communities, where information often mattered more than force. The Ottoman experience underscores the dual role of intelligence, to project fear and to maintain order. By the late 16th century, England was a vulnerable, Protestant island surrounded by Catholic adversaries. Queen Elizabeth I relied on her spy master, Sir Francis Walsingham, to protect her crown from both foreign invasion and domestic betrayal. Walsingham built an extensive intelligence network across Europe. He maintained agents in France, Spain, Italy, and even within the Vatican. He coordinated intercepts of diplomatic correspondence and developed one of the earliest cryptanalysis units. His masterpiece was the uncovering of the Babington Plot, a conspiracy to assassinate Elizabeth and place Mary Stuart on the throne. Through decrypted letters and planted evidence, Walsingham not only foiled the plot, but secured legal justification for Mary's execution. Beyond technical skill, Walsingham understood the political value of information. He used leaks, rumors, and public spectacles to control narratives. His methods marked the beginning of espionage as statecraft, where intelligence gathering became indispensable to diplomacy and security. In the aftermath of defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, France restructured its military intelligence. The result was the formation of the Deuxième Bureau in 1871, an agency tasked with gathering intelligence on German capabilities and internal subversion. The Bureau created systematic procedures, training schools for agents, code-breaking sections, and dossiers on political suspects. It infiltrated foreign embassies and used the press as both a source and a weapon of disinformation. Its most infamous chapter came with the Dreyfus Affair. Captain Alfred Dreyfus was falsely accused of espionage based on forged documents and anti-Semitic paranoia. The scandal shook the French Republic and exposed how intelligence services could be manipulated to serve prejudice. Despite this, the Deuxième Bureau advanced the concept of intelligence professionalism. It separated fact from rumor, established chains of command, and pushed for international intelligence cooperation. It laid the blueprint for modern European agencies. The KGB, formed in 1954 from its NKVD predecessor, was more than a spy agency. It was a pillar of Soviet ideology. With over 500,000 personnel at its height, it monitored citizens, controlled dissidents, and ran one of the most sophisticated international networks in the world. Inside the USSR, it installed informants in universities, factories, and even families. Abroad, it recruited diplomats, funded insurgent groups, and shaped political outcomes through blackmail and propaganda. One of its signature tactics was active measures, subversive actions including media manipulation, fake documents, and support for fringe political groups. The assassination of dissident Georgy Markov in London, using a poisoned pellet fired from an umbrella, epitomized its covert lethality. Even after the Cold War, former KGB networks and methods persisted, especially in post-Soviet states. Its model of psychological warfare and long-term infiltration has influenced intelligence operations globally, especially in the digital age. The 1972 Munich Olympics massacre was a turning point for Israeli intelligence. In response, Mossad launched Operation Wrath of God to eliminate the perpetrators across multiple countries. The operation was global, secretive, and uncompromising. Agents used false passports, covert surveillance, and lethal tactics. Some targets were taken out in Paris apartments, others in Beirut streets. Mossad sent a message: Attacks against Israelis would be answered with precision and persistence. Fast forward to 2024, and Mossad conducted one of its most unconventional missions, Operation Grim Beeper. Hezbollah operatives had returned to using analog pagers to avoid digital tracking. Mossad turned this low-tech method into a vulnerability. Through front companies, modified gold Apollo pagers were introduced into Hezbollah's supply lines. These devices contained micro-explosives embedded in battery compartments. On September 17, 2024, they were remotely or automatically detonated. 37 operatives were killed, over 3,000 injured. More importantly, trust was shattered. Hezbollah no longer knew which devices were safe. It was psychological warfare by technological means, and a stark reminder that in modern spycraft, anything can be weaponized. Ukraine's security service, SBU, evolved rapidly during its war against Russia. While once focused on internal threats, it became a symbol of innovation in asymmetric warfare. The culmination came on June 1, 2025, with Operation Pavatina, Web. In a single night, 117 FPV drones struck 5 Russian airbases, some more than 600 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The targets included long-range bombers used for missile strikes against Ukrainian cities. What made the operation remarkable wasn't just its precision, but its complexity. The drones were launched from mobile platforms hidden inside abandoned factories, forest clearings, and even modified trucks. Each strike was pre-mapped using satellite data, and many of the drones were guided manually in real time. The operation destroyed or disabled more than 40 aircraft, shocked Russian military leadership, and drew praise from Western intelligence officials. It marked the first time a national security service, not a conventional army, had executed a strategic air campaign using consumer-grade drone technology. The message was clear. The future of intelligence isn't just about gathering data, it's about shaping battlefields. From scrolls passed along dusty roads to drones deployed through clouds of electronic warfare, the evolution of espionage is a reflection of human adaptability. Intelligence agencies are mirrors of their age, as complex, ruthless, and resourceful as the threats they face. Across continents and centuries, spies have remained the architects of influence. They operate in silence, but build the frameworks upon which wars are won or lost, leaders rise or fall, and empires endure or collapse. Their methods evolve, but their purpose is constant: to know, to influence, and, when needed, to act in the shadows, where history is often decided.
We are already there.